Beginning I was born in 1981, in January and December. The outbreak of martial law. Everything was missing. Even diapers. Very long queues for toilet paper and basic products needed for survival. And when you called your friends or loved ones, you heard something in the style of a controlled call. If you would say something on people's power, you would have malicious civic on the back of your neck. All you had to do was make sure you caught up and you were arrested and arrested. Everywhere. The operation of its introduction began on the night of December 12th, 13th, 1981. Even before midnight, the Ministry of Interior units, consisting of special groups, ZOMO units. At 1 o'clock in the morning, members of the State Council, theoretically the most important office of the People's Republic of Poland, gathered in the Belvedere. Most of them, however, did not know what was the purpose of the hospital visit. After 1.5 hours of deliberations, the members of the Council of State adopted the decree on the introduction of martial law and accompanying documents, against only PAC's chairman, Richard Reif. All adopted documents were validated on December 12. The decree on the imposition of martial law was inconsistent with the then binding law, because the Council of State could issue decrees only between sessions of the same. Meanwhile, the session lasted, and the next meeting was scheduled for December 15th. More, https://wiadomishi.radioza.pl/polska. I was born in reality of fighting good and evil. There was an era in which to fight, at the Round Table, the fight against social ideology, a daily newspaper of the European Union 25 Society. It was January 1, 1989, somewhere outside of Warsaw. We went with my father to a friend of a gentleman who bought a painting from his father. A gentleman of about 40, very handsome and sympathetic. Modestly dressed but extremely elegant. Not defiantly or pretentiously. He gave the impression of a man completely independent and happy, at the same time understanding and understanding. Such a characteristic could be found in many of the thrillers, political or even best-selling bestsellers. Sometimes I met such people without soliciting anything. What's more, this description is not a stranger to me because it reflects the archetype, trait or atmosphere, in which I was stared as if in a beautiful woman. An archetype accompanied me in surprising moments. Often conversations in which spontaneously descended on unusual topics, which left a mark in my mind which then dreamed me. This gentleman had a beautiful, very nice wife and children of my age. The apartment looked priceless, a large area, a very charming atmosphere, a large hall and high marble shiny stairs, and upstairs, a huge Christmas tree in a large living room, reaching to a very high ceiling. Paintings around which I recognized 3 paintings of my father depicting Venice, the harbor in Le Havre, and hunting for the boar. Around hunting trophies. Glamour of the old world. Kielar's music accompaniment. It's all like a prestigious restaurant. There is a sound around, an echo of old times, like the sound of the murmuring sea in the shell. Splendor of buzzing sounds and flying saucers. Still dark outside the window. Everyone else is still sleeping. Still dark outside the window. Everyone else is still sleeping. She tries to get up to reach for a glass of water standing on the cupboard. I cannot. I feel that relays and drivers have not yet come back to normal. It is also difficult for me to return to normal from illness, from the neural network to reality. As a 7-year-old child, I thought so. He wants to, dad wants to, mom wants to see them. I do not want to be alone with myself. I do not want darkness, I want light. I want to see and feel like I'm catching a glass. I want to catch her and my hand refuses to obey. A friend nurse comes in and gives me a glass. He raises my head and helps me tilt my glass. You have to solidify, my little one, she said. There are tears in my eyes and she says, bleeding changes something, gives you something? Half an hour has affected all of life. Neurology department. A room near the observatory. I lie half conscious. My thoughts have gone out. At the end of this darkness, some consciousness is burning. Mental peculiarity. I can see only blurred faces. I miss identifying these people and identifying the surroundings. What I saw. I see smeared faces that part to reveal this light, like some streaks forming a corridor. They are like the Doppler effect, the effect of smearing. The voices of these characters create above me a sound smudge, harmoniously changing into musical sounds. Suddenly, I hear the sounds of my father among them. She discovers, he says, we'll look at Otis tomorrow, hold on to my son. Mom and dad are dying in this corridor, disappearing in the light. The film breaks off. The darkness opens the door. The darkness opens the door. It strikes the light. But consciousness has come back. Finally, the glare strikes. So the eyes are already reacting normally. Reality. A beautiful young nurse approaches. I squint my eyes. The nurse asks, light hurts? I squint my eyes but I cannot say anything. Tears from my eyes. The nurse closes the door and does not light. He speaks only, parents will come tomorrow. A room on my face. I close my eyes. The nurse sits down. I can feel her presence returning the awareness of the surroundings. After 10 minutes, I open my eyes. I see the same person. He sits and looks with an unusual face on his face. She smiled at me. She touched my hair with a wink and then left the room. The moment that put me face to face with God's justice. It was one moment. I said, the Pope is angry. I did not even think about it, like a glaring sun on the road to Damascus, when Saul, St. Paul, was blinded. There was no time for anything. My uncle took a globe and the blink of an eye that stood on the table and with all his strength crashed into the ground, shouting for me to come to my senses. Zamalzalam. Like losing my eyes, stunned and dazed. It was a shock after which, I never dared to play chess with God again. You got Adam crazy. The brain began to evaporate. You started to get attacks of hysteria, not controlled by hysteria. You do not know why to cry, to start hysterical laughter and cholera knows why. Your hands were like a drug addict. When eating, you behaved like a scum or some underdevelopment. You did not have epilepsy, but you were doing something much worse. It led you to the point that you became almost like a person who was severely handicapped although you were not handicapped. The contradictions of Adam and why? Introduction to the extended version of the improved trailer. Introduction to the extended version of the improved trailer, Diary of the Prodigal Son 2. I was born in 1981, a month before martial law was declared. History likes to circle. I watched it turn about 30 years later. I observed the process of turning this wheel. It was a time of great change. I left Warsaw at the time. A completely different reality unfolded before me. Around this time I was finishing writing my diary. It was the time when my diary was over, and I remember that during this period I was more or less interested in film editing programs. The Reimagined Media Composer is now available, reimagined for the makers. For ease, for speed, for inspiration, for every story. The most popular video editing software just got even better. From first cut to final delivery, the new Media Composer is designed for makers at every skill level, with a modern and intuitive interface, task-based workspaces, built-in color finishing tools, plus packaging and codec support for OTT workflows. Experience more inspired storytelling. Find your creative flow with a modern new interface and task-based workspaces that make organizing media